In the Old Testament book of Judges, the 14th chapter, I'm reading verses 5 through 9. The Old Testament book of Judges, the 14th chapter, beginning with verse 5, and I will read down through the 9th verse. Judges chapter 14, beginning with verse 5. Then went Samson down, and his father and his mother to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath. And behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and he had nothing in his hand. But he told not his father or his mother what he had done. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took thereof in his hands and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. Now I want to use for a subject, what's a special person like you doing in a place like this? What's a special person like you doing in a place like this? Amen. Text revolves around one of the special persons among the children of Israel. He's hailed from the tribe of Dan. His name is Samson. Samson was known as a judge in Israel. Judges were leaders that God had raised up among his people, because oftentimes when the children of Israel had drifted away from God, God would allow them to fall into the hands of their enemies. And when they would cry out to God to have mercy and save them, God in his mercy would raise up a leader. He would raise up somebody special who would lead the children of Israel out of bondage, who would lead them out of the trouble that they had gotten themselves in. And in this period, these leaders were called judges. Samson was one of those judges that God had raised up. Samson, you will find that he was a different kind of judge. God had given him phenomenal strength. When you read the story of Samson's life, you will see that most of the time Samson worked solo, while all the other judges worked with other people. But Samson did his work by himself. Scripture reveals him here in the text going to a place called Timnath. And he decided that he would walk through the vineyards of Timnath. He had already had a conversation with his parents that he had seen a girl that he liked. And without having talked to the girl, Samson had made up his mind that he wanted to marry her. He just saw the woman, and he wanted to marry her. Mother and father didn't agree with it, because they said, well, she's a Philistine girl. Said, why can't you get one of your own among our race of people? Samson said, I saw her. I want her. And I need y'all to help me get that girl. So they went along with it, and so they decided to walk down to Timnath. And Samson decided that he would, split from them, and he went through the vineyards. The scripture said that he come face to face with a lion. Text said a lion roared against him, and Samson with his bare hands killed that strong, full-grown lion. Left him there on the side of the road and went on down to Timnath. Well, after a few days, he decided to go back. It's now time for him to get that woman that he wanted and to make her his wife. And he decided that he'd cut through the vineyards again where he had that lion experience. And he noticed that the lion's carcass was still there. But he also noticed that bees had got into the carcass of that lion and had made some honey. Samson scooped some of that honey out of that carcass of that lion and ate some. And he had so much of it in his hand, he decided that he'd take some to his mother and his father. Now, I couldn't help but notice the text said that Samson didn't tell his mother and father that he had killed a lion. And he didn't tell them where the honey came from that he had given to them. And the text said that they ate the honey. Now, from this text, we glean some things from the surface. First of all, when he went through the vineyards, we see his struggle. He had a struggle with a lion. He didn't know that he would have to face a lion. And he struggled with it, but he killed it. Now, from that, all of us have struggles. I mean, I know sometimes we try to make folk think that everything is peachy and ain't nothing wrong, but listen, all of us, we struggle. All of us got some kind of a struggle. Sometimes we struggle more in some things than we do others. All of us got some struggles. Behind our lifting up holy hands, we're struggling. Are y'all praying with me? All of us got some kind of struggle. And our biggest struggle is with ourselves. Listen, you struggle with you more than you do with anybody. I struggle with me. All of us got a struggle. As believers in Christ, the new me is wrestling against the old me. Paul said there's a war in my members. We all are struggling. We have struggles are real. And listen, don't think that God loves you so much that he ain't gonna let you struggle. As a matter of fact, there are some areas in life you can't ever reach unless you struggle. And so first of all, we see the struggle in the text. But then secondly, I see the spirit in the text. Because the text said that the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson. And because the Spirit of the Lord helped him, he killed that lion. Which means that Samson wasn't so strong because of bodybuilding and weightlifting. He was strong and he was able to conquer the struggle because the Lord got in it. Listen, I'm so glad to know that as we struggle in life, God is always ready to help us. He'll help you. The Lord got in it. The Lord empowered Samson, gave him what he needed to conquer this life. Amen. Isn't that good news to know that no matter what your struggle is, if you look to him, God will help you to overcome your struggle. verse said, mighty. And he killed that lion with his bare hands. It's amazing what God can empower you to do. When God gives you things you can't normally do, you can do it. That's why the Bible says in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So that's the struggle in the text, the spirit in the text. But then thirdly, I see the sweetness in the text. Because some bees had gotten in the carcass of that lion and had made some honey. Isn't that something? Now, the bees didn't kill the lion, but somebody else had gone before the bees and killed the lion. And the bees come along and made something sweet in it. Are y'all listening to me? It's some folk who've gone before us, who struggled, who fought hard for us to have it better. We need to learn a lesson from the bees. Since they struggled and went through everything they went through to get us up to where we are, we need to make something sweet come out of it. Bees got in there and made some honey. And Samson saw it and he got some of that honey. Sometimes God got a way of bringing something sweet out of your struggle. You may have some scratches on you from the struggle. You might have been wounded from the struggle, but even after the struggle, God showed up and gave you something sweet out of it. Oh, y'all listening to me? He fought with that lion. He came back and found something sweet. And that's good news. But if you look a little closer at the text, God showed mercy. But look here, really, Samson was in a place he shouldn't have been in. Samson was a special man, but he was in the wrong place. Why do you think? The text said twice. He didn't tell his mother and his father. Now, listen, Samson was a Nazarite. He was a Nazarite. When you look at the law of the Nazarite, according to Numbers chapter 6, first of all, a Nazarite can't touch anything dead. If you touch something dead, you're unclean. He was on his way to Timothy to get his wife. He had messed with the honey in the dead carcass of this lion. If mom and daddy knew what he had done, that would hold up the proceeding. So he said, I ain't going to tell mom and daddy because I'm ready to take this girl. If they know that I messed with this lion, they're going to say, wait a minute, Samson, you done broke the law. You can't get married right now. Are y'all listening to me? The next thing is, he would be unclean. Amen, for a while. And so Samson, another thing is, to get this honey out this lion, made him unclean, and then gonna give some to mom and dad. That messed him up too, and he wouldn't say nothing. Samson was in the wrong place. And listen, now here's the point. You might be saying, well, preacher, what does that subject have to do with us? What about Samson? What does that have to do with? Listen, all of you are special. Everybody's somebody. When God made you, he didn't make nobody like you. God has put in you talents and gifts that he can use to his glory. You are special. But sometimes, like Samson, we end up in places that we shouldn't be in. We end up in areas of life that we have no business being in. Are you listening to me? Yes. So really, like Samson, we are guilty of rebellion. We are sometimes dressed up rebels. was considered what they call a heathen woman. And Samson wanted to make her his wife. Are y'all listening to me? Yeah. The Bible teaches, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Samson knew better. Samson was in a bad place. And if you follow his ministry, his work, he stayed in a bad place. I'm almost through here, but let me look at a few things. You know, as we talk about being in a place that you shouldn't be in. Abraham went there. He went to Canaan in Genesis 12, and because there was a famine, he took a detour and went down to Egypt. He ended up in a place that he should have been in. Lot went to the wrong place when he separated from his uncle Abraham and pitched his tent towards Sodom. Now in Genesis 13, he pitched his tent outside of Sodom. By the time we get to Genesis 14, he done moved into town. And that thing never did get right. He was in the wrong place. The prodigal son ended up in a place that he shouldn't have been in. Ended up in the far country, and he went down to the pig pen. Are y'all praying with me? Jonah ended up somewhere that he shouldn't have been. God told him to go to Nineveh, but he went down to Joppa. It's easy to end up in places where you ought not be. And there might be somebody here listening to me this morning. You are looking now at your life. You're beginning to think about, how did I get to where I am? You have found yourself doing some things you never intended on doing. Involved in a relationship you know you had no business being. In the wrong place. And like Samson in time, because we are rebellion. Well, briefly, as I look at the text, we see first of all the pathway of a rebel. The path of a rebel. Look at what the text said. Very closely. Careful. The text said that he went down to Timnah. According to verse 5, he went down to Timnah. Verse 7, he went down. Whenever you leave the path that God wants you in, you go down. Whenever you get to where you want what you want, instead of what God wants, you go down. He went down. He deviated from the path that God wanted him to stay in because he saw him. Somebody truthfully said that, there were really, he had two honeys in this text. He had a honey in Timnah, and he had some honey in the carcass of the lion. Now, when you read over a few chapters further, he had a honey in Gaza, and then he had a honey in Sorek named the lion. Now, it wasn't the honey in the carcass that got him started. It was the other honeys. Y'all will catch that on the way. You got to be careful who your honey is. You get involved with the wrong honey, you'll get stung. And some things you don't get over. I wish I had a witness in here. Some of you know. Some of you've been stung and you ain't got over it yet. You got stung years ago and you still hurting. You got involved with the wrong honey. It could have been hard if you stay on the right path. He deviated, and he went down, and then he left his parents. I mean, now you got your parents going down here with you. They give in to you because sometimes as parents we make the terrible mistake of giving in to our kids to do something we know ain't right. Sometimes we mess up and give in to them, and then we pay for it later. They went along with what Samson wanted and everything, and got down there to the vineyard of Timothy, and he decided, hey, y'all go on and I'll meet y'all. He split from his parents. Now, the text lets me know that vineyard was a dangerous spot. Because the text said a lion was in. Now, what if it had gone the other way? What if the lion had appeared before his mother and father? They would have been in trouble. It was disrespectful. It was not good thinking. It was not good for Samson to part from his parents. You done got them folk walking down there with you. You ought to stay with mama now. Are y'all listening? Listen, don't ever disrespect your parents. Don't ever dishonor them. Don't ever leave them to themselves. You know, as parents get older in life, you know, as the older we get, the more changes happen. It sometimes will start affecting our memory. It affects our eyesight. It affects our ability to comprehend sometimes. It affects our ability to get around. And children are not better than their parents. But as they get older, they need you then more than ever. Don't disrespect them. Don't talk to them any kind of way. I don't care how grown you are, they're still your parents. You don't disrespect and dishonor your parents. Just because you done got grown, you think you can go face to face and toe to toe with them. You better remember who you are. You still the child. And as long as you live, you're a child. There's nothing and nobody that can undo that. The disrespect, he left his parents. And then as a result of this, the danger he got in. Now listen, it's dangerous enough when you're walking the path of duty. You can expect something to happen when you walk in disobedience. When you leave the path, you can expect something to go wrong. A lion showed up that Samson had to battle with, and was it not for God's mercy, the lion could have took him out. Listen, as I move on, there are a lot of us in here, we were going in the wrong direction. We were doing some things we had no business doing. And oh, if it wasn't for the mercy of God, we could have been taken out. All right? And so we see the path of the rebel. Then I see the pleasures of the rebel. Now, notice he did what he did because he wanted that woman. All he think about, he wasn't thinking about what God wanted. He thinking about what he wanted. He wanted that woman. I'm almost through, but Samson wanted that woman. He wanted that woman. He didn't care nothing about giving God glory. He didn't care nothing about the safety of his parents. He didn't care nothing about what God said. Samson wanted that woman. And sometimes in our life, it's about what we want rather than what God wants. We know what the Bible says, but sometimes we want what we want. And then when we get what we want and it don't go right, then we come back to the Lord and say, Lord, have mercy. We could have stayed out that place if we had stayed where God wanted us to stay. If you stick with the principles of God, it can keep you out of vineyard that you don't need to be in. Pleasure. The Bible said that Moses despised the pleasures of sin for sin, so that he could suffer with the people of God. Too many people are set out for pleasure. Sunday's the day to go to church. It's not a day to go to the football game. You don't let the football game take place in worship. Softball. Talking about, now y'all do what you want to, but I couldn't let my kids be in nothing that's going to take me away from church. I couldn't bear the thought of them going on to play that and me here at church. No. Church is more important. Things of God are more important. You don't put pleasure ahead of the principles of God. When we do that, we're rebels. he was more determined about getting this woman that he really didn't know. Talked with her a little bit. He looked at her, liked what he saw. Talked with her a little bit. Then he said, I want her to be my wife. And listen, a whole lot of folks still marrying by looks. She fine preacher. Hey, boy, preacher, look in here, preacher. Preacher, look, man, that girl fine. Well, is that all you know about her? Well, ain't that enough? You better know that ain't enough. Somebody here can testify with me. You can't go by looks. A lot of ladies get caught up in how fine he looks. I like the way he talks. I like the car he drives. But does he know how to treat a woman? And any Negro will talk bad to his mama, will cuss out his sister, or any woman. You can't expect him to treat you right, honey. Pleasures. Looking for a thrill. Somebody need to know if you're messing around trying to get in a relationship for a thrill, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to find that the thrill is gone. Well, let me close now. Not only do I see the path of a rebel, not only do I see the pleasures of a rebel, but I see the polluting by the rebel. Look at the text. When Samson got that honey. Now listen. Now, I want my honey in a container. A jar. Plastic container. Not many of us would scoop some honey out of a dead carcass. But the text said, Samson scooped up honey out of the carcass of this lion, ate some, and took some to his parents. But didn't tell them where he got it from, because he knew that if they knew that he had got that honey from the carcass of that lion that was dead, they would have said, no, Samson, you know, that's not right. Because the law requires that we not eat anything unclean. But he didn't tell them. So what he did was, he polluted his parents. He done wrong. And now he has tricked them into doing wrong. Listen, some folks know they ain't right. And they'll try to get others to be just like them. No, they ain't right. And try to pull you in on. Are y'all listening to me? That's what Mrs. Potiphar tried to do to Joseph. She come on to Joseph and she knew she wasn't right, but she trying to defile Joseph. You know, talking about lie with me. That was a holy line in the scripture. Nothing about how you doing, young man. Tell me something about your soul. None of that. She saw the young man. She said, lie with me. She tried to defile Joseph. And then when he didn't go along with it, she got mad. You know, some folks, if you don't drink with them, if you don't cuss with them, if you don't go out clubbing with them, they get mad. Job's wife tried to defile him. How long you gonna maintain your integrity? Why don't you curse God and die? Now just because you curse God don't mean I ought to do it. Eve polluted Adam. Remember the text said that she was talking to the serpent and she looked at the fruit on the tree and she took and ate and it was tasted to her. And the verse said, and she gave also to her husband who was with her. She polluted Adam. The devil will work to the weakest person to try to get to you. And so she polluted her husband. Samson had polluted his parents. Just don't assume just because they're grown that they're doing everything right. Samson, where you get that honey from? Where you get it? Appreciate it, but listen, where does honey come from? They had to know something was not right. Sometimes don't just assume your children are doing right. Are y'all listening to me? Nothing wrong with asking a question. Your child ain't too grown for you to ask him a question. I don't want to hurt their feelings. You better ask questions. If you think your child don't mess up, you better read this story. I don't care how gifted they are, I don't care how talented they are, how special they are, you better ask them questions. If you got some suspicion, you better say something. And so as I close, my brothers and sisters, this text lets me know it's important to be where God wants you. It's important to be in the right place in life. If you're in the right place with God, He can give you something sweeter than honey. Am I right about it? Oh, my brothers and sisters, I know what I'm talking about. Because every day He gives me something sweeter than honey from a honeycomb. Yes. I had some friends who used to play dominoes occasionally. And every time he got ready to domino, he couldn't hold his peace sometimes. He would let everybody know that nobody could stop him from dominoing by saying, I got honey all over me. I thought about that, and I thought about how good God is. And I can truly say, I got honey all over me. If He woke you up this morning, that's honey. If you're in your right mind, that's honey. If He gave you the activity of your living, that's some sweet honey. If He saved you, that's some shown up good honey. Can't nobody do it like Jesus. If He gave you another chance, that's some sweet honey. If you've been forgiven, that's some sweet honey. If you survived a bad relationship, that's some sweet honey. If He's giving you a breakthrough, that's honey. I'll stop by to tell you I thank God for the honey He's given me. I thank God that somebody took care of the situation so I can get something sweet out of it. And His name is Jesus. Anybody know Him? Jesus. That's all I got for you. Amen. I want to extend the invitation. I invite